Hi everyone, welcome to Grow. My name is Patricia Hanbich. I am a graduate horticulturist and I'm here to help you with all the grow projects that you might be undertaking or thinking of undertaking. Some of my oldest friends call me Patty Plant, so whether I'm Patty or Patricia, I am thankful that you have taken the time out of your day to visit me here on Grow. Today we are going to talk about regrowing your vegetables. So I don't know what's in your fridge or on your counter, but I know in mine I have a lot of things that could be repurposed or regrown because they've outlasted their value. So in order to understand how to regrow plants, you have to understand a little bit about botany. So folks, hang on, here is your botany lesson. So plants have different parts to them, and it's important for us to understand a little bit about these different parts. So this is a living lettuce. So you see this would be below the soil surface, that is the root tissue. Here would be the ground level, and above the ground level is the shoot tissue. And the shoot tissue is made up of stems and leaves, and if there's flowers and fruit, that would also be above ground. So if you take this is just a living lettuce, and if you look closely, you can see that the root tissue was actually grown in a plug, and it was grown hydroponically, but that doesn't matter. We can regrow it regardless if it was grown in soil or in water. So the top part of this is the leaves, and those are the parts of the lettuce that we consume. And if you look closely, you can see that all the leaf tissue is kind of growing around this part that is located, it's kind of like the crown of the plant, and it's located just above the soil surface. Down below is the root tissue. So because in this plant we have all of the plant parts, the new growth will happen in the middle of the lettuce. You'll see new leaves of lettuce will continue to grow. So even if I removed all these leaves, then this point would regrow the new lettuce just by placing the root tissue either in a glass of water or in a pot with media. So set that on your windowsill and enjoy watching that lettuce regrow right before our eyes. Here's another plant. This is cilantro. Now, I don't know if you're a cilantro lover or a cilantro hater, but I find that it's an herb in this state that doesn't last very long in the refrigerator. So basically, you can just take the stems of the cilantro and again, put them in a glass of water, and you will see roots grow out of the stem. You can then plant them in soil or in media in a pot, and then harvest the cilantro just by taking off the top growth. And for a good long period of time, it will regrow. So I said we were going to talk about botany. So let's take the potato and a sweet potato as examples. So a potato is actually a modified stem that grows underground. So when we think about that, we think about the potato plant, and I don't know if you've ever planted potatoes, but you think about the plant and how we plant them. And a seed potato could have the whole potato or parts of potato, and on the potato itself you see little eyes. So there's an eye, and those are actually nodes on the stem of the potato. Even though that stem is underground and that stem turns into a potato, at these nodes is where the new tissue is going to start to grow. So like I said, this is a stem. So if we want to grow the rest of the plant, what do we need? We need it to grow leaves, and we need it to grow roots. So interestingly enough, this potato, and sometimes we plant them with long sprouts on them, and we tend not to want to damage those sprouts when we plant them. But if we want to just take this potato and grow it out, it's going to be important to have an eye, because that has specialized tissue. So the specialized tissue in plants that has the ability to regrow is called meristematic tissue. This is very special tissue that can alter its state to do new jobs depending on what the plant requires. So when meristematic tissue differentiates, it can produce another cell or another group of cells, a tissue that does different jobs within the plant. So in the case of the potato, because it's a stem, it needs to regenerate both root tissue and shoot tissue. Now, a sweet potato. A sweet potato is actually a real root. So when the potato is growing, and I don't know if you've ever grown sweet potato vines, but sweet potato vines are wonderful in containers and baskets and that kind of thing. And if you grow them for a long enough period, or if your season is warm enough, those roots will actually expand, and in this root tissue, whether it's a stem or a true root, will actually store extra material or extra energy for the plant that it can use in times that maybe aren't so wonderful for producing plant growth. So plants are really amazing because they're the only thing on this earth that can actually take energy from the sun, convert that energy into carbohydrates or simple sugars, and then those simple carbohydrates are actually the basis of the food chain, and we can utilize that energy for what we do in our lives. So without plants, we wouldn't exist. So when a plant is busily growing and it's nice warm summer day and there's lots of sunshine and the plant has lots of moisture and it's readily converting that sunlight into energy, which the plant uses to do the plant's work. So that's growing and producing flowers and fruit and all those kind of things. When it has an excess of energy, it stores it if it has the capability. So in a sweet potato, the root will enlarge and that sugar will be converted to starch, and then that starch is stored in a less vulnerable state than carbohydrates, and the plant can then draw on that energy when maybe the sun isn't shining and it's not so warm. So if you were going to plant a sweet potato, you could actually put this whole thing half in a jar of water and half out, and you would see a bunch of root tissue grow, and then above the water you would see a bunch of shoot tissue grow. So it's that shoot tissue which you would then gently remove, place in water, and allow the roots to grow from the stems, and then you would have sweet potato vines to plant. So if you've ever grown them and it's been a good season, you found larger roots when you harvest the material out of the container, then you could plant those and regrow them, or you could go to the grocery store. So also I have a ginger root. So this is a rhizome, beautiful scent, wonderful in a lot of dishes that we use for cooking. And this is a modified stem, so kind of like the potato, only different. So when you see on the ginger root, you see these lines. Those lines are actually where the tissue is going to grow from. That specialized tissue exists where those lines are. It would be a node in the stem. So a node in the stem is where the new tissue would grow out of. So if you see a branch of a tree even, and you see new stems and new leaves coming out, that would be at the node. And at that node, this specialized meristematic tissue is present, and it allows new growth to occur. So if you wanted to plant this ginger root or rhizome, you would just put the whole thing, or even part of it, as long as it's got some node tissue on it, in a pot with soilless media or in the ground, and away it would grow. Now don't expect a beautiful ginger bloom from this, because not all ginger roots are the same. So this will grow a ginger-like plant, which is really cool, but it won't have the spectacular blooms. So what else do I have? Well, how about carrots? So if you think of carrots, when you think of a carrot growing, it's got the long elongated part below the soil surface, and above the soil surface is the shoot tissue. So this shoot tissue here will actually regrow. So I've just cut the very tops off of the carrots. You can place those right in a pot with soilless mix or in the ground. And as long as that soil is kept evenly moist and the temperature is not too cool or not too hot, you'll see that shoots will grow to this tissue. So it doesn't matter if there's any actual tissue there, but that's where the carrot will start regrowing. And eventually, after quite some period of time, you'll see that maybe the root will size up as well. How about the onion? Here's some green onions. and these come from the store. So the root tissue has actually been pared off. And at the base of the onion, again, you'll see a compressed stem, which is where the roots grow out of underground and the shoot tissue grows out of above ground. So all I've done for the onions is basically cut most of the top growth off, and you just set these onions in water, and before long you will see new growth that will occur in the middle of the stem. So you can just keep harvesting your onions. Last but not least, we've got celery. So again, with the celery, it's got a compressed stem, and we don't really consume that part, but it is where that magical meristematic tissue exists. And when you place that celery in water, you will see the new shoot growth will occur in the middle of the celery plant, and out of the base of that stem, that base of that compressed stem, will grow the root tissue. You can start it in water, you can start it in media, and away it will grow. So plants are pretty exciting. They have the ability to harvest energy from the sun. They have specialized tissues that can have a new job at any time that the plant requires it, if it consists of this special meristematic tissue. So I guess if I was going to hire someone, I would want to hire a meristematic person, because they would have the ability to do new jobs whenever it was needed, and they would have the capacity to work forever because those cells just keep dividing and keep doing the work. Pretty amazing, isn't it? So if you're looking for something fun for the kids to do that's educational as well, then maybe you can encourage them to regrow some of the fruits and vegetables that we have in our fridges and on our counters, and learn something really neat. So thank you, folks. My name is Patricia Hanbidge, or Patty Plant. Either is fine. I am a graduate horticulturist, and I'm here to help you anytime you need it, day or night, on my YouTube channel, Grow. So I hope you've enjoyed this session. If you like it, let me know, and please subscribe. If there's any topics you would like me to cover that are of interest to you, I can certainly do that as well. So once again, thank you for taking the time out to join me. Until next time, be happy, stay safe, and let's get growing.